comprehensive care we offer today, our commitment to you has never wavered. With 8 locations across Murfreesboro and Middle Tennessee, and over 100 physicians, we continue to provide the highest standard of care. Then, now, and always, your health is our mission.
We're the Good Neighbor Network, FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna, audio and video streaming at wgnsradio.com. This is the Roundtable. A look at the news, views, politics, and people that are shaping Rutherford County.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to your Tuesday morning edition of the Roundtable Show with Rick and Wayne. Come to you every Tuesday morning here at WGNS and have some great guests on. I hope everybody enjoys our show. We've been on now, over 2.5 years, Wayne. It just seems like yesterday we started this. I'm glad you do our planning of guests, though, because I couldn't be able to do it.
I tell you, it's just it's been an amazing partnership, and I've thoroughly enjoyed getting to do this with you, brother.
Same here, my friend. Did you watch the Titans? You stay awake?
I did. Saw Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer come in and save us. So it would have been a different game if Tua had been there. So
sure would. I was wondering how many times they were going to show him on the sidelines.
Yeah.
It seemed like first down they'd show him, second down they'd show him.
Yeah.
It was,
I just here you got a young man that's quite the talent, and he's got a tough decision to make. With all the concussions he's experienced so far, and the history, and with our guest today, that's probably really appropriate with the way the brain is damaged when they take a hit like that. Would like to deviate just for a second and make sure that everyone knows our prayers are with our fellow Tennesseans in East Tennessee, but also the people in North Carolina and Georgia, and just been a tough few days for all those people.
Sure has. I saw a thing that Murfreesboro and Laverne Fire have sent some guys up. Chris Clark was commenting, the director of EMA here in Rutherford County, but we've got some guys. I think some chiefs have already gone up there to be a part of the team and management team, but we've got some regular personnel headed up that way.
Well, they need the help. I think you said 1,000 people. Is that in East Tennessee?
I think it's cumulative over all 3 states up there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's significant. So again, our prayers are with them. And but going back to the to a little more fun side, of course, Titans getting a win is good. MTSU, we didn't win, but at least we were respectable.
Showed up. Yeah.
Yep. Memphis has a good team, and kept it competitive, if you will. Mm-hmm. The Vols keep steaming along. They had a bye week and
moved up in the polls.
Didn't even have to play. So that's pretty sweet. So
it's touch and go at my house. My wife's a Georgia fan, so
don't.
I thought about you. I was watching the end of that game, and of course they were just throwing, bombs for touchdowns. I'm going, where in the heck is the defense? So, but I thought of you and I said, Stacy's not going to be real happy.
Well, we had our class reunion, our 35th class reunion, which there was a lot of reunions this weekend. I noticed through Smyrna, Laverne, and Murfreesboro, there were several going on, but we had a class reunion, and she was with the crowd, so whatever cuss words or might have been said, I couldn't disseminate if it was coming from her or not. Okay. She was not happy.
You did not witness.
No, sir. Stayed away.
Well,
I just looked away.
Yeah,
I know.
It's a still a long season to go.
Yeah.
So Rick got a return guest that we always enjoy, and so much information with a disease that's as far as dementia, we found out it's an umbrella of a number of different types of dementia. But we have Cheryl Blanchard, who's regional director of Alzheimer's Tennessee, and we're always thrilled to have you because you are certainly making a difference, and you help and you help a lot of people, and God bless you for that, and thank you for being with us this morning.
It's always a pleasure to be here.
So we just, you texted me and said you had a lot to talk about, so you've been here before, so take it away, Cheryl.
Well, awesome. Well, first I want to comment on what you said about the football players. And so when we talk about dementia, I've explained before when I've been on that dementia itself is not a disease, it's a syndrome.
Okay.
That's, like you said, the umbrella term for things. But we do know that one of the causes of dementia later in life is repetitive head injuries, these concussions and these traumatic brain injuries. And that's why you've seen sometimes long-term football players, long-term boxers come up with these symptoms. So for any parents listening, just protect that little head. You only get one brain. You got to have it the rest of your life, and
Sure.
any damage that you do can one day lead to that. So just make sure those helmets are worn and all the safety precautions are taken. But on a happier note, October is a busy month for the Middle Tennessee region for Alzheimer's Tennessee. So I really want to share with you some of the great things we've got going on, invite everybody out, and then of course we'll move into spring because spring, Rutherford County has the big party here, so we'll talk about that too. But starting out, actually tomorrow night, there is a wonderful orchard out in Nolansville. You guys ever checked out Morning Glory Orchard?
I have not, but
Yeah.
I drove by.
I'm not aware.
Well, tomorrow night's the night. So for anybody who has not been there, it's a wonderful family-owned orchard. They do peaches in the summer, which makes me happy, and they do apples in the fall.
Wow.
And you can go and tour the orchard, but this time of year they do something called a tasting tour. So you go, they take you on a little a tour of the orchard. They tell you the story, it's a beautiful story. It's a family-owned business, local business. So you know how we are. We love supporting local because we love it when local supports us. But they tell you the story, and then they bring you back for a tasting of a lot of the items that they make right there at the orchard. So we decided to take that on as a little fundraiser. So we've added a couple of things. We're going to have some live music playing. So we're going to kind of have a really ambiance going as you're doing the tasting, and then you're going to leave with a gift from the orchard. So we'll be there. That is this Thursday, October the 3rd. That starts at 5:30. I've got a flyer here, but you can go on the Morning Glory's website and snag a ticket to that. I've got volunteers helping to serve, so most of that evening's proceeds they're going to donate back to Alzheimer's Tennessee. Wow. And just a reminder to anybody who hasn't heard this before that we are local. So anytime we do an event like that and you support us, all of those funds come right back into the local community. So we'll take those proceeds, put them back into local programming like the education, the support groups, and an event that's also coming up in October.
Why don't you
So
remind the audience that may not have been with us before when you were with us about your organization and how it works and what you do.
Sure. So my background is in social work and counseling, as we talked about before, and I fell in love with helping families with Alzheimer's disease about 13 years ago. So Alzheimer's Tennessee has always been a passion of mine. I've been involved with them in numerous ways before I came on staff, but we're a statewide organization. So just like the name says, we serve all of Tennessee. We've got 6 regional offices, and we provide all kinds of services to families. Education starts with that first phone call. When they call, they're going to talk to somebody in the local office. That call doesn't get passed around. I know I've joked with you guys before that it's in my purse. So when you call that helpline, it's me. I carry that with me. So we answer those calls directly. And what's really great about that for families is that we live in the community. We know the resources. We know what's available. We know what it's like to live there. So when we're answering those calls, we're really giving that person personal direction because we're right there in that. And then when we meet with that person, we're connecting them to resources. We know what's available, what's there to meet their needs, kind of guiding them through making those decisions, whether it's how do we take Dad's car away to how do we know it's time that we need to maybe look at an assisted living or a memory care community. Then we get them connected with folks that can help with that. So all the way from we think something might be wrong with Dad, how do we know? And of course, we've talked about the difference between normal aging and scared you one time between normal aging and dementia. But,
right.
We do that. The support groups that we have throughout the state, we have the virtual support groups for folks who can't go out in person. We put on big caregiving training workshops like the one I'll mention in a minute coming up also in October. do the virtual dementia tour so we can show communities. I did one for an assisted living last week. I'm doing one Friday. And we take their staff through that to kind of help them understand a little better what it's like for this person. How can we best interact with them? And I do training for law enforcement and first responders as well. So just anything and everything we can do to help families that are dealing with this diagnosis, but also help communities, churches even, know how to serve families and how to support them better. That's what we're here to do. All of that's done locally. So again, all of the money, all of the resources, when you support us, go right back into serving families that a lot of us know.
Seems like our community has a number of resources. They, I think I'm aware of a congregation that has a kind of a day camp, maybe 5 days a week.
Adult day programs.
Right.
Yeah, so those are fantastic. It's respite, and a lot of people don't know that word respite sometimes, but that means a break or having someone else help you care for that person. So yeah, we do have a couple of adult day programs here in Rutherford County, and they are there for families to be able to go and drop their loved one off for several hours. You know that they're taken care of, they're going to have their lunch, they've got activities, and then that caregiver who provides that care 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, can just take a break and do simple things like get a haircut or go have lunch with a child, visit a grandchild. Just gives them that opportunity to step away. So yeah, we connect families with those quite frequently, and they're wonderful programs.
Is that at a cost or how does that work?
Those are private pay. For some families, if they have the Medicaid program called TennCare, that will sometimes pay for that. Some long-term care insurances pay for that. But if families really need that and can't afford it, I also get them connected with a couple of statewide grants that help pay for respite care. It's very much a needed thing for these families.
Just in Rutherford County, or maybe just Murfreesboro, how many memory care facilities are there here in our community?
Wow, that may be the one question you asked me that I can't answer.
I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. I can think right now off the top of my head at least 4 or 5 in this area.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah.
We've kind of talked about it before, but we've talked about the symptoms and everything, and I think that's really important because people get confusing if I'm just aging and I can't remember. We all over 50 seems like we can't remember things or people's names, but that's not necessarily they're suffering from Alzheimer's, but it could be something else. But kind of go into what the differences or what the signs really we need to be looking out for.
Sure. So as we age, you think about your brain, you get one brain, and that's it. You got to take care of it for the rest of your life. So we've all had this happen. We've had computers, and it just starts slowing down. It can still get to the answer. It just really starts slowing down because it's an older computer. Well, we can't go out and buy a new brain when our brain starts slowing down. So there are some normal changes that happen with aging. It takes a little longer to find an answer. We might get a little bit forgetful, but the key thing we look at is when it's forgetfulness that impacts your daily life, when your short-term memory becomes enough that it's impacting your daily life, that's not normal. That's when we want to get that checked out. But we all forget names. We meet people and walk away and it's gone. And the reason for that is quite simple. Your brain can't possibly remember every name, everywhere you ever ate, every TV show you ever watched. You can't remember every bit of it. So it's incredible at deciphering what do we need to hold on to, what do we not hold on to, what do we hold on for just the next couple of hours and then let go. So that's what we're looking at. But the thing about Alzheimer's disease is that it initially impacts short-term memory retention. So you can talk about something from 30, 40 years ago. I know you guys like football. You can talk about a football championship from 30 years ago, but can't remember a conversation from this morning. So that's what we start seeing that really is one of the initial signs, particularly for Alzheimer's, and then difficulty with language. Just that difficulty finding words in a conversation. They'll just get lost, or they'll try to tell you something and that word just can't grab that word. So we'll notice using the same word over and over, or all the fun Southern words we have, like whatchamacallit, thingamabog, and doohickey. Everything becomes that.
Oh,
just
what's
like,
his name?
Yeah, well, everybody's name is honey, baby, sugar, or darling in the South. So,
what's his name? Wayne. That's
yeah,
it.
what's his name? Yeah, yeah. So you start seeing that, but again, it's not the key difference is that me, we'll have that aha moment. We'll go, oh gosh, that's right, that was Wayne. I met him at the radio station, or oh, that's right, Rick used to do law enforcement. You have that aha moment. You remember it. Or when you lose your car in the parking lot, you remember, oh, that's right, I smelled the Starbucks walking in. I parked on the other side. they can't retrace their steps, they can't backtrack. And that's when you really start seeing it, is that they just can't problem solve and to get to that answer. So taking a little longer to get to the answer, fairly normal as we get older, but when it really starts impacting daily living, then we want to get that checked out.
And I don't know that we've, since we've had you with us before, that we've talked about, someone that has grown older, or maybe not elderly, but they played football for a number of years, and they've been in either martial arts or boxing or something like that. Is there anything to, I guess, to improve the brain health after all of this punishment over the years?
Well, unfortunately, once damage is done to the brain, it's kind of done. It's the one part of our body that really doesn't regrow and replenish, as well as a cut finger or anything like that. So the biggest thing is just prevention, just really taking care of yourself. And those repetitive brain injuries, really, we're learning more and more over the years of just how much that has an impact on us later in life. So wearing the helmet, wearing the seatbelt, maybe being more aware of how many of those hits you're taking. I've told you before, I've got neurologists and specialists I work with, they don't let their kids play contact sports because they're so aware of this. But otherwise, anything that you can do to protect your brain is protecting your brain. So if you can't protect it from the repetitive hits, are you watching your diet? Are you exercising? Are you getting enough sleep? That's a big one we've talked about. Are you staying socially engaged? Are you learning new skills? So it's like a muscle. We need to exercise it. And just sitting around and doing this all the time, which is what a lot of us do, it's not exercising your brain. We still need to learn things. When we were younger, we didn't have phones with everything stored in it. We had to actually remember phone numbers.
Sure.
And now you go up to somebody later on today, say, hey, can you give me 5 phone numbers of your 5 best friends? No, because they're all in there. That's not your brain. So memorizing things, working on trying something out new, trying to learn a new language, learn an instrument, all those kinds of things are really brain protective.
Well, I have my children's numbers in my phone, but I also have a little card with it written, with their phone numbers written in my wallet too. Just because if the phone dies, I still need to have their numbers.
And that's a good point. If our phone, most of us are lost. If our phone dies, most of us are lost. But again, I won't speak for you guys, but when I was younger, we had the phone book.
I had a phone list kept in a little book.
Yeah, we had that. Or you remembered them. You at least knew home, dad's work, maybe grandma's number, your best friend's number. We knew them. You'd just walk over to the phone and dial them right in. But we just don't practice that memorization as much.
What I find ironic is I can still recall my phone number from when I was a child.
Me too.
I think that's a little different.
Yeah.
That we can remember.
I miss the operator. Remember, you could push 0 and get an operator.
PR549.
I'm trying to find Wayne Blair. Can you find Wayne Blair? Yeah. I know you talked about that and NFL players and CTE. The House Committee last Tuesday just had a hearing and had several players up, and Brett Favre has come public, and he has Parkinson's disease, and they said it's a major factor is all the trauma that his brain's gone through.
Yeah, and that was Muhammad Ali's issue as well.
Yeah, so that's like you said, you only got one brain. You go messing it up through drugs, alcohol, or getting hit repeatedly, then it's not going to repair itself.
Or even just unhealthy living. And I can't remember if I've been on since this revelation I had, but did I tell you the percentage that's within your control and the percentage that's not within your control?
No.
Oh, this is awesome. So we had Dr. James Powers, who's at Vanderbilt. He's a gerontologist there and an Alzheimer's specialist. He'll actually be speaking at this education event we've got coming up. But he started talking, and I did a brain health webinar. So if you want to learn more, you can find that on our website. But he said the 2 factors we know we can't control are age and genetics. So it's a disease typically that affects older people. Not always. We certainly know people that have been diagnosed in their 40s and 50s. But typically it's over 65. So you can't control that. And you can't control whether a close family relative had it. So age and genetics, those are out of your control. Those only account for 30% of risk. 30%, which means the other 70% are things that we absolutely have some control over. Okay. And the things that we just mentioned that we've mentioned before, are you watching what you eat? One simple change you can make today, add more whole grains, fruits, and vegetables to your diet. Don't go through that drive-through as often. Cut back on that, all that refined stuff, and eat some real food. fruits and vegetables, colorful ones. It's great. If you're staying up all night scrolling or watching television, turn that stuff off. Try to get 8 hours of sleep a night. It's hard for a lot of us, but that's a little teeny tiny change you can make that's brain protective. It's not difficult. It's just doing it. We just got to make that decision that it's worth it to do it.
I guess.
Well, it's easier to hit a drive-thru on the way home than it is to go home and cook. I get that. I'm a busy mom too, but is it worth it? It's really not. So it's looking at taking that walk after dinner instead of watching that television show and meeting people instead of sitting home alone all the time. It's little bitty things, but 70% we can control to really lower the risk. That's pretty powerful.
And I would think, eating, sleeping, socializing. For olders, for us older population, that certainly is an issue.
Absolutely. But it starts when you're younger. So what we know about Alzheimer's disease in particular is it doesn't all of a sudden show up. It's not like a broken bone. You're out playing football and you break a leg. It's not sudden. It's been brewing. It's been there for a while coming on. So taking all of these things, even, I just spoke at MTSU this week. Or last week, spoke at MTSU to those students, and we talk about, hey, when's the time to really start thinking about this disease? And most kids want to say, when you're in your 50s or 60s. I said, no, it's now, it's today. Because everything we do, just like other health impacts, it builds. If things build up and build up, you don't all of a sudden have cardiac disease. It's been building. And same with this. We know it's been coming on. So anything that you can do starting today, whether you're 5 years old or 55 years old, starting today, all of these things we talk about that are brain protective, you can start doing.
What percentage of our population here in the United States is affected by dementia?
That's a really tough answer. I know there are statistics out there. I'm sure NIH and NIA, National Institute on Aging, they have those kinds of numbers, but here's the problem. There are people walking around right now who aren't diagnosed for this reason, because we say, well, Dad's always been forgetful, or, well, Mama's always had trouble remembering things, and then we're fearful, we're terrified of getting this diagnosis, so people put off and put off and put off going in. I know in Tennessee, our number is roughly about 125,000 people that we know have Alzheimer's in Tennessee, but that number has got to be maybe at least half over again of people who just don't have a diagnosis. Things are misdiagnosed a lot too. I think we've talked about that with the other types of dementia like Lewy body and frontal temporal, they're often diagnosed as a psychiatric illness because their symptoms look very different from Alzheimer's disease.
Sure.
So we've got people who aren't diagnosed, people who are misdiagnosed, and I don't have an exact number, but it wouldn't, I don't think it'd be very accurate, even if we did.
So the food intake, I had a friend just went to Switzerland, and he was talking about how they eat over there, and everything's fresh every day, and you're going to the grocery store about every other day and buying your fresh fruits and vegetables and everything, how they cook thing versus here. So much stuff is processed. But I'm assuming I guess that's another statistical thing, is that countries like that that live that lifestyle, obviously the percentage is lower, right?
Theoretically, yeah. Again, I don't have that exact information, but yeah, I would say so, because you're doing those brain protective things. And you think about the sooner, and that's why I love the orchard. I can go pick peaches and eat them right away, or the apples. The sooner you can eat fruit from the way it was grown, the better it is for you, the more nutrients it retains. So the rapidly frozen stuff, that's your better stuff. But think about a lot of stuff we eat here. It's harvested, and then it goes through goodness knows how much processing before it ever gets in front of us. So does it really have the nutrients or not? So I love that in Europe. A lot of the European countries do that. France as well. They go, in Italy, they go and pick up what they need for that day, for that meal, and they go home and prepare a home-cooked meal. But yeah, a lot of vibrant colors is one of the really good things. So people talk about blueberries because they're bright blue. Yeah. All the leafy greens, they're bright green. Your peppers and other fruits, the bright reds, the oranges. We need that variety of color and all that good nutrition. Fish, whole beans, legumes, and grains. That's part of the mainstays of what we call the MIND diet, which is a diet that a lot of experts recommend. And it's really, I don't like the word diet. It's not a diet, it's a lifestyle. It's a way of eating, a healthy way of eating, making sure you're getting all those nutrients in.
Great. You listen to Cheryl Blanchard. She's the regional director of Alzheimer's Tennessee. Is that, you're still regional director, right?
I'm still regional
director.
Okay,
you looked at me and I was like, oh, did I mess it up? But we're going to take our first break and be right back with you in just a minute.
Insurance should be simple, not complicated. That's why at Rayburn Insurance, Agent Rick Hull cuts through the jargon and helps you understand your options clearly. He's committed to finding the right coverage that fits your unique needs and budget. Their team has been a trusted partner in the community since 1973. Ready to make insurance easy? Get with Rick Hall at Rayburn Insurance Agency. He's ready to help you get the protection you deserve.
Hi, this is Chip Walters with Exit Realty Bob Lamb and Associates. You might know me as the voice of the Blue Raiders, but I want to be your trusted advisor in real estate. Whether you're buying or selling, it's time to choose Chip. Do you have a growing family and need to upsize? Are you an empty nester now and need to downsize? Are you thinking of selling your current home but just worried you can't find something else? Well, it's time to choose Chip. I'm looking to be your trusted advisor in real estate. I'm Chip Walters with Exit Realty Bob Lamb and Associates.
Fellas, if you've noticed a lack of energy, motivation, and drive, it could be low testosterone. Don't wait. Get checked by the experts at Low T Center. They have over a decade of experience helping patients achieve life-changing results with testosterone therapy, or TRT. And for established patients, they offer the convenience of physician-monitored at-home TRT with advanced personalized plans that include both lab testing and self-inject medication. Low T Center makes it easy, shipping directly to your door. Go to lowtcenter.com now to book your appointment online. Low T Center, reinventing men's health care.
Hi, this is Trevor from Bell Jewelers. We invite you to come shop with us. Everyone needs a watch, and we have a wide selection of watches. Here at Bell Jewelers, we have Seiko, Longines, and pre-owned Rolexes. We have a wide selection of Seikos. They're our most affordable watches that we have at the store, of a timepiece that can last you a lifetime. And then we have just a broad selection of pre-owned Rolexes. Come find one that looks great on your wrist. Bell Jewelers, 821 Northwest Broad Street, across from Toots.
This is Good Neighbor Events with Bart Walker. Brought to you by the law offices of John Day and AmeriCare Pest Control.
I've got pests.
It's time to mount a counterattack on mosquitoes and reclaim your yard. AmeriCare Pest Control can help you enjoy your yard again and protect your family from mosquitoes that can carry West Nile and encephalitis. Call 893-7111 to learn more about their mosquito control services.
AmeriCare Services Incorporated. Licensed, insured, and bonded for your protection.
Call the best of the best to get rid of your pest.
893-7111.
WGNS encourages you to shop local. Let's patronize those local family businesses. Come on over to the one-room Ransom Schoolhouse and enjoy coffee and conversation about local history every Saturday morning. Members of the Rutherford County Historical Society will be there 9 until noon every Saturday morning, and it's free, including the coffee and donuts. Ransom School is at 717 North Academy Street. We'll see you Saturday. Put this on your calendar. The 43rd Tennessee Indian Education Powwow is coming up October 18th through 20th. That's Friday through Sunday. The gates open at 9 o'clock each morning, October the 18th through 20th, over at the Long Hunter State Park. That's right on the Rutherford-Davidson County line. We have 2 grief support groups here in our community. One is every Wednesday morning at 10 at the St. Clair Street Senior Center. The other one is the next day, and it's a walking grief support group. It begins at 9:30 on Thursday mornings under the picnic pavilion at Oakland's Park, next to Oakland's Mansion. Those are WGNS Good Neighbor events.
Rutherford weather.
We'll see a few spotty rain showers possible late this afternoon with partial sunshine developing, a high in the low 80s. Tonight, slight chance for rain, cloudy, low near 59. I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki on News Radio WGNS.
Currently, it's 65.
Broadcasting from the Middle Tennessee Electric Studios, MTE Sharing Change has now donated more than $11 million to local nonprofits assisting worthy causes in our community. MTE, serving to make life better since 1936.
This is the Roundtable from News Radio WGNS on FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna. Listen and watch at wgnsradio.com.
And welcome back to the second segment of Tuesday Mornings with Rick and Wayne. And it's our pleasure this morning to have back again Cheryl Blanchard, Regional Director of Alzheimer's Tennessee. And, we're we always walk out of here feeling enlightened after your presentation because you share so much with us. And you know, with this debilitating syndrome, you know, the more that we can share with the public, I think the better off the public is.
I agree. And, you know, education's a big part of what we do. So we were talking during the break about some of the webinars that are housed on our website, particularly some about brain health. And you can learn about the different types of dementias, which I know we're going to address at the end. But that is www.alztennessee, and you do spell out Tennessee, alztennessee.org. So anybody that wants to learn more, hop over there. A lot of resources there. There's a caregiver academy where caregivers can go learn little bits and pieces of information, 3 to 5 minute videos. When they don't have a lot of time, they can just hop on and pick one. And we've got the Live Well Academy for people actually with a diagnosis, and then of course Caring and Coping coming up this month.
And we'll get into that, but I listened to the podcast dealing with a parent suffering during the holidays, and talking about that they may need to move into a separate room where there's not so much activity, and helping to deal with them as they're going through the holidays. And I just wow, that's, you know, to have that kind of information out there. And all you have to do is just listen. You can listen in your car, you can listen at home. You can listen at work if you want to. So it's just there's a lot of information out there that if you just will take time to listen.
Yeah, and then applying. It's hard. This is a very, very emotional thing for caregivers, for family members to watch their loved one go through this. And then, you know, it's easy to say, and I pull back often when I'm talking to caregivers and say, I want you to hear, this is coming from my heart. You know, I'm not criticizing you. But I'm really trying to help. It's hard to know what you need to do, but then applying it is really, it's emotional. Sure. It's difficult. And one of the hardest things is taking the keys away. I mean, that one is just one of the most difficult decisions for families to make. And we deal with this in our support groups. We often have other members that are caregivers instead of me stepping in and helping them. But it always comes back to, well, they're just going to be so mad at me. If I take Daddy's car, Dad's going to be so mad. He'll be so mad. Yeah, he will. Yeah, we'll accept that. However, I go into the dangers and why it's dangerous and how his brain isn't processing information or assessing risk, or his response time is delayed. And it gets to be a very, very dangerous situation. So we really have to look at, just like sometimes when we have to discipline our children, it hurts, but we know we have to keep them safe. And it's the same thing when we're caring for a loved one with Alzheimer's or one of the other dementias. They just no longer have that cognitive ability to make those decisions. And so we sometimes have to jump in and make them for them. And even though we know it's the right thing to do, man, the heart is just brutal. And that's one of my favorite parts, is working with these families and helping them cope.
The catastrophic decision, I believe, would be car keys, probably a piece of cake compared to moving them into a memory unit away from their home.
Yeah.
I would think that would be just horrendous.
You know, it really varies with families. Some families, by the time they get there, they've been preparing for it for a while and they know that time is coming. Some families, one I'm working with right now, she is killing her. She just thinks that's the worst thing she would ever do. But I have a couple of things that I share with families, and anytime I'm out speaking and teaching, I've got 2 things that I really try to help ease those hearts. One is, always remember that you're not doing something to your loved one, you're doing something for them.
Right.
And the something for is summed up in one sentence. Because we always talk about not making those promises you can't keep. I cannot promise you that I will never, ever, ever place you in memory care, because you just don't know what the future is going to look like. What I can promise you is that I promise I will always do everything I possibly can to provide you the best possible care and keep you safe. That's a great promise, because that does open up adult day, which we mentioned earlier. That might be something that provides the best care, or bringing in the non-medical in-home care agencies, or even looking at assisted living and memory care, because it does get to the point, all families are different. I've seen families with 5 siblings that only one had anything to do with caring for mom and dad. I've seen siblings with 5 that everybody takes turns and chips in. I've seen families that have their the person with dementia has brothers and sisters around, don't even come and visit. And I've seen some that really step in and help. So everybody's situation is different, and we really can't look at it and say, well, I would never do that, because you don't know. A lot of people think they can say that, but you just don't know. But as long as you're always doing everything you possibly can to provide that loved one the best possible care and keep them safe, any decision you make is going to be the right decision, because that's number one priority, is providing that very best level of care. And sometimes that really is in a community more than in the home.
With the fear and anxiety, it seems like as it gets, the disease starts taking over more and more. I want to mention about like our local law enforcement. We all have like Silver Alert that you might see through TBI, but you can actually register your parent or loved one with the local sheriff's office, or Murfreesboro or Smyrna, Laverne, where you might live, but with your name and address and the vital information of who that person is, because all too often we see here lately that they're looking for a certain car and an individual, or they've walked away from a home and they're searching the area and things like that. And it's the same with children as well. If you got special needs children, then they also offer that service for them as well. But
Rick, that's amazing.
And the Silver Alert kits as well. Remember, we have at Alzheimer's Tennessee, we work to get that Silver Alert law passed. So we're super excited that exists. But oftentimes when law enforcement goes out, families aren't prepared. They don't have all of the information. So I know they have those, but you also can reach out to us to get one of our free Silver Alert kits. And we worked with local law enforcement as well as TBI to find out what do you need in order to issue that alert. And the number one thing is a current photo, which families often don't have. That seems surprising, but they often don't have that current photo. And then if they've driven off, you mentioned a car, what's the year, make, and model of the car? Well, I don't know. Dad drove off in his big white truck. Well, we live in Tennessee. That's useless. So what's the tag number? And then where is the registration, why it's in the car that they drove off in? So gathering all that information in advance so that when they do go missing, you've got it. The other danger in that, Rick, is that nobody thinks their loved one is going to wander. Well, they've never done that before. Well, they've never done they haven't done it yet. But the statistic on that is 6 out of 10. 6 out of 10 people with a diagnosis will wander at some point. Wow. And they're looking for something. They're looking for you. Maybe you ran to the store and 5 minutes seems like 5 hours, and they go looking for you. Yeah. Or they go to get milk and get completely lost and turned around and end up in Alabama. And we find them out of state all the time. So getting that Silver Alert kit is something we would encourage all families to do as well. And all you got to do is reach out to us and we'll get that to you.
And like you said, photos. We all have iPhones today. Every once in a while, just every couple weeks, maybe take a shot of whoever they are. That way you've got an updated photo. Same thing when I know park that we'd went to, and it was a kind of event thing, and I thought it was awesome. They had a sign up and said, hey, take a minute and take a picture of kids now. And it was basically, they gave them something so that way if something happened in the park, you had an updated photo on what they were actually wearing in that park.
At that moment,
I like that. Yeah. That's a great idea.
Gosh, what a great idea.
And it's those little things that you might not think about, but once you hear it, you go, oh, yeah, let's do that, like having the current photo. Yeah.
So you see on TV, everybody's got a miracle pill. So I know there's like Focus Factor and one a day, and everybody's kind of open, has their own special magic pill that's supposed to help with memory and things like that. Is not really going to do that, or will it? What's your experience?
Well, the problem with supplements is they're not really FDA regulated, so they're not going to go through the research process that drugs do. Yeah. Do they help? I don't know. Can they hurt? I don't think most of those are hurt. So any supplement, anything that you're taking that's going to nourish your body or give you some of the vitamins and minerals and things that you need, it's not going to hurt. Go for it. Can we say any of those brands are actually going to make a difference? It's hard to say, because like I said, there's not going to be a definitive study out there. If you think it helps you, then by all means continue. But it's just like all the other brain things we know. And this is an interesting example, going back to making that decision to place your loved one in a community. We see people all the time that were living at home, and well, mom wants to stay at home, and she would just have a fit if we took her out of her home. But mom is sitting at home alone all day long doing nothing. Right. They get her into a community and she improves. Now, does that mean that her memory, has come back? No, it doesn't. But what it means is that we need interaction. We need that social engagement. We need activity. Our brains need to be occupied. And when a community provides that to someone, they actually can have a better cognition and better function. And families are sometimes really taken aback by that. But we see it all the time.
I know that as I grow older, I become more and more lazy about the food I eat. I want it to be convenient and, sleep. I don't know. Sometimes you just get stagnant and, it's easy to sit down in that chair and just watch a boob tube rather than, doing the social things you need to do. So, I can see, especially in elderly years when you hurt just getting up out of bed in the morning, that maybe eating and sleeping and socializing just becomes, just not much of a priority.
Right. And that's another great thing about these communities and the adult day programs is it's built in. It's built right in. So again, as opposed to being at home and having to put in a lot of effort, when our loved ones are in these communities, it's all there for them. All the activities, the meals, the support services.
Medications properly
management.
Being administered.
Yeah.
I think that's where, like we've had Fran Dunn on with the Smyrna Senior Center, I just think with the programs that they offer for, they're over 600 members, and the things that they do for, the senior activity centers are just amazing, because that keeps their motivation going and to live the next day. There's so many that come in there and tell stories with I'm on their pain committee, and a lot in depression and losing a loved one and didn't know what they were going to do next, and they get in there and it's gave them purpose and will to want to push on and have a good time. Plus,
she does an amazing job.
I can't wait. They do some awesome trips, man. I'm a couple years away. So
I know. I tell her that I'm way away from being able to join, but Fran does a great job over there in Smyrna and here as well at St. Clair.
Having the support mechanism that you've made new friends, that they understand the issues that you're dealing with, and maybe they found solutions to those issues, and having someone share that has walked in your shoes makes it that much more viable, I would think.
Yeah, you just gave a great commercial for our support groups. Yeah,
well, there you go.
Absolutely, yeah, and that's what support. A lot of times people go, "Well, I don't need a support group. I'm fine," and it's not always that. I mean, you may be fine, you may not, but it is that coming together with other people who understand. Because I can come to you right now and talk about, let's say I was one of the victims of the flooding. It was horrible flooding. I could come to you and talk about how horrible it is, and I lost this and I lost that, and we've got to clean all this mud, and you can go, "Wow, Cheryl, that's really rough," but that's about all you got. You don't know. But if I'm talking to other people who also have experienced that, suddenly it's not a happy camaraderie, but a camaraderie of sorts. It's we all understand, we all get it, we're all going through this together. And so oftentimes that's what it is in that support group, just being with others that do get it. Not that they're going to tell you what to do, but they often do say, "Oh yeah, my dad was doing that and we tried this and it really helped him." So we don't give advice. We certainly don't give medical advice in there, but oftentimes it's just anecdotal. "Hey, this really helped me," or "Have you tried that?" or "This is what worked when we were going through that." So just the support and encouragement is it's an amazing thing.
Sure.
If you feel like you got I know we've talked about it before, but if you got a loved one, you feel like they're kind of going that through, how do they start the process? Just with their primary care physician, or do they need to go directly to a specialist, or what do they do?
It varies, and you all have heard me say before, everybody thinks it's always a neurologist, and oftentimes it is a neurologist, but there are some family care doctors, primary doctors that have a lot of expertise in diseases that we tend to get as we're older. Some of them are really great at diagnosing Alzheimer's. You certainly can seek out a neurologist, but there are also other specialties. There are neuropathologists that also can do a really great assessment, and neuropsychologists. So really the main thing you want to look for is that person that has that expertise in Alzheimer's and the related dementias.
Or neuro in front of their name.
Neuro oftentimes in front of their name is a good start. And certainly if folks don't quite know where to start, they can give us a call at the office, and we're glad to help get them connected to some providers that can help.
What's your phone number? We haven't said that yet. I forgot about that.
615-580-4244.
Okay. Wait till the end of the show, because your purse might start ringing, right?
It's off. It's off because we're together today. Yeah, but
you may want to get into some activities.
Absolutely. So I say we work a lot with caregivers, and that's one of the things that I'm really passionate about is just helping them cope. I mean, that word means how do I go through this? What do we do? So for years, one of our big programs has been our Caring and Coping Caregiver Workshops, and ours in Middle Tennessee is coming up on Tuesday, October the 15th. It's going to be at Brentwood Baptist Church, so a teeny bit of a drive, but I got you. I'll have coffee and a little breakfast there when you get there. We'll provide lunch to everybody that comes, and we've got some incredible experts this year. We've got Dr. James Powers from Vanderbilt University, a gerontologist who's going to speak about why the brain changes with Alzheimer's, Barbara McGinnis from Johnson McGinnis Elder Care Law, and estate planning will be there talking about what it's like for legal decisions, how things change with dementia. And if you don't have, so to speak, all your ducks in a row, you can really get in a bad situation legally. Barb Abramson is going to talk about how to connect with our loved ones that have a diagnosis, and she does some really fun programming talking about connecting using the 5 senses. And then we've got a panel discussion. It says an energetic panel discussion. I'm part of that, so here you go. I'm excited about this. But I said, I want to add fun to the caregiving day. Often they're like, well, what do we do all day? So we're going to bring in folks to talk about how do you add movement, music, pets, and then I'm going to talk about laughter. Y'all know I love to laugh. So we're going to, how do you incorporate that into the day to break the day up, also to engage with your loved one, and just to make the day more fun, more meaningful, because it doesn't have to be just sitting around doing nothing. So invite folks to come. You can register on our website. I'll leave this with you, and
please.
I think I sent you guys a PSA about that as well.
And we'll get Brian to put it on the on WGNS.
Fantastic.
Yep. Listen to the regional director of Alzheimer's Tennessee, Cheryl Blanchard, but we're coming up on our second break, so we'll be right back with you in just a minute.
My brother-in-law died suddenly, and now my sister and her kids have to sell their home. That's why I told my husband we could not put off getting life insurance any longer. An agent offered us a 10-year, $500,000 policy for nearly $50 a month. Then we called SelectQuote. SelectQuote found us identical coverage for only $19 a month, a savings of $369 a year.
Whether you need a $500,000 policy or a $5 million policy, SelectQuote could save you more than 50% on term life insurance.
For your free quote, call SelectQuote at 1-800-457-6060. That's 1-800-457-6060. Or go to SelectQuote.com. 1-800-457-6060. That's 1-800-457-6060.
SelectQuote. We shop. You save. Full details on example policies at selectquote.com/commercials.
Jesus is coming again. But are you ready? And let me ask you, how do you know if you're ready? Join us for the Preparing for Jesus to Come Count meeting, daily from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. with breakfast and lunch included at Hilltop Roswell Park in Smyrna, October 3rd through the 6th. For more details, go to countmeeting.philadelphiamessage.org.
Visit countmeeting.philadelphiamessage.org for details.
At Bud's Tire Pros, we sell all major brands of tires, and we invite you to stop by today for that next set of tires. Or maybe you need us to check out your vehicle before you head out of town. We offer everything from brakes to batteries, alignments, and more. No appointments necessary, just stop on by.
I'm Allison Mitchell with Bud's Tire Pros. We're located on East Main Street, exactly 3 miles from the town square, 1 mile past Rutherford Boulevard. Visit us online at budstirepros.tn.com.
This is the Roundtable from News Radio WGNS on FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna. Listen and watch at wgnsradio.com.
And welcome back to the third and final segment of Tuesday Mornings with Rick and Wayne, and we have a return guest. She's always welcomed here, and we will continue to invite her as long as we're here. Cheryl Blanchard, who's the Regional Director of Alzheimer's Tennessee, and the information you share is just has to be so very helpful to so many families here in our county community.
Yeah, well, we're happy to do it. Happy to be here in Middle Tennessee and serving these families. So it's all of Middle Tennessee. I think I cover 16 counties.
Goodness.
But the great thing is we've got 6 regional offices. So even if somebody reaches out to me, I'll get them started, but then I'll make sure I hand them off directly to the regional director for their area.
Okay. You've got some other events, and I think we were going to delve into reminding our audience the different types of dementia.
Sure. So we love to provide things for family caregivers as well as the person with a diagnosis. So we have our memory cafes that folks, if they have a diagnosis, they can join that, as we were talking about, being with others who understand. So imagine having that diagnosis and not knowing anybody else. So we bring them together. But Morning Glory was so incredibly gracious. I mentioned the fundraiser Thursday night, but also on October the 23rd, we're hosting an event there for the person with a diagnosis and their loved one. So it's just an outing for them. Sometimes it's really hard to take your loved one on an outing. You don't know how they're going to handle it or if there are going to be any issues. You're out alone. So this one is going to be fully staffed. I've got about 6 volunteers that care for people with dementia that'll be there so that the person can come, their loved one can come. If they have any needs, we're going to be there to take care of that for them. So that is Wednesday, October 23rd at 11 a.m. And they can register for that one at allstennessee.org/dayout, or they can call the Orchard. So we invite any family caregiver to bring their loved one. We're going to help them. We're going to support them and give them a really, really nice day. They get to tour the Orchard and do a tasting as well.
So when you say tasting, is it like hard cider, or what do they usually have there?
Maybe.
Okay.
I know. I know there's a slushy that's fantastic. Yeah, they'll have some other kinds of ciders. They'll have a lot of. I saw a list this morning that the organizer sent me, things that they make with their fruits and vegetables there. So probably some peach things, some crackers and things you can put on crackers, paired with some of their sort of different drinks. And they've got a great store too. So if you come to this event, we're also going to give you a coupon so you can shop in the store. So yeah, come out and check them out. It's great when a local business supports a local nonprofit. And that, again, Alzheimer's Tennessee is all about keeping it local. Sure. We love doing this. So that's another one. And then Mr. Brews, great new local restaurant and tap house. If you haven't checked that out yet, I encourage you to do so, but not until Thursday, October 17th. So come on out. I love it. The people there, the owners are just fantastic people. And went in there with a friend of mine who knows what I do for the first time. And she said, hey, do you guys ever do fundraisers? And they said, sure. And she says, well, this is my friend, and the rest is history. They were 100% on board. So all day on October the 17th, go check out Mr. Brews, and a percentage of the entire day they're going to donate back to Alzheimer's Tennessee. So again, a great example of local supporting local. So love to invite everybody out October 17th all day from 11 to 10. I'll be hanging out probably from about 5 to 10, and they've got beer, lots of beer on tap. You mentioned beer, but they've also got all kinds of ciders that are just outstanding. And I like the ciders. They've got other drinks as well. Cheese curds to die for. So come on out on October 17th. And then the spring, before we get into the other types of dementia, our spring is really, really fun around here. So March 29th, there'll be our big walk. That's our biggest fundraiser. That's, of course, again in Franklin at the park at Harlansdale Farm. The Nashville line dancers will be there teaching line dancing again and kicking up their boots during the walk. So that'll be a blast. I know you came out and supported that last year and won a great big prize.
And had a great time.
Yeah. And then our Rutherford County event, of course, is with the local 80s band Mixtape. Will be out at Hop Springs again on May the 17th for Rockin' Against Alzheimer's.
Enjoyed that as well.
We try to make things fun. And, when you see the fundraiser, if you try not to think of, wow, they're always asking for money, just think about, wow, I'm investing in this local families to get to go to this orchard, or wow, I'm investing in this caring and coping workshop, because that's really where all that funding goes. We're certainly not getting rich off of that, but we put 85% of every dollar we raise back into providing these programs and services for families. So
pretty amazing.
Yeah. So other types of dementia. We're going, all right. So we talked about the umbrella term that dementia just means cognitive changes. Something's going on with my brain, maybe short-term memory loss, maybe difficulty word finding. We just know it's not working right. So we'll get told it's dementia. And then the next thing out of your mouth ought to be what kind? What's going on here? The number one leading cause is Alzheimer's, and that's why people use those words interchangeably. And I hear all the time, well, she has dementia and Alzheimer's, or she has had dementia, but then it turned into Alzheimer's. That's not quite true. It's dementia, and they figured out it was caused by Alzheimer's disease. So the hallmarks of Alzheimer's disease we mentioned are the short-term memory loss, the difficulty with word finding, then we'll start having difficulty with sequencing, and then it starts to impact you just being able to do those daily things that we refer to as activities of daily living, feeding yourself, dressing yourself, all your personal hygiene, all those kinds of things. So we watch that, and that's kind of Alzheimer's disease follows kind of a typical progression, although everybody is different. But if we see those symptoms, we're inclined to think Alzheimer's disease. But with the others, they're quite distinct. So vascular dementia, we typically will label it that if we know that somebody's had strokes within the past 3 to 6 months. So we talked about the brain being damaged. So as you all know, maybe somebody who's had a stroke damages a part of the brain. There are things we can do to help that person, but that part's never going to be exactly the same again, right? So that's vascular. The other two that are very unique and a little more rare are Lewy body dementia, which is what Robin Williams had, and frontal temporal dementia, and a form of that is what Bruce Willis has. So we've had some very famous people lately have these different dementias that has kind of brought light to them. With Lewy body dementia, it impacts people at a much younger age. So we see people in their 40s and 50s getting Lewy body. And again, that's why it's often misdiagnosed as a psychiatric illness, because we tend to think Alzheimer's disease, that's, old people. Dementia is not always old people, whatever that is anymore, because I'm not there. But when you look at Lewy body dementia, we often see early onset of hallucinations and delusions, and they're very vivid. If I hear somebody call me and say, I said, what was the first thing you noticed? Well, Mom just started falling. She'd get out of bed and she'd fall. She started falling, or she just kind of stiffened up. And the other thing we see is severe insomnia. They'll stay awake for 36, 40 hours at a time, wide awake and active. Can you imagine being the caregiver for that? And then they have REM sleep disorder, where that's where you're acting out your dreams. So normally when you're asleep, you have something called sleep paralysis. So you're laying there, and when that bear is chasing you through the Smoky Mountains, you're not actually running and fighting. You are in your dream, but you're not actively doing that. Well, they are. So very, very different from Alzheimer's disease in the symptoms that we see. But people aren't as familiar with it. And that's why that's one I've spent a lot of time educating about, because I work with an expert, and we had to get the word out on that one. So we did a webinar called It's Not Always Alzheimer's, Understanding Lewy Body Dementia. So that's one. The other one is frontal temporal dementia, and there are many, many variations of FTD. But the two that we are most familiar with would be the PPA, primary progressive aphasia, which impacts your speech. That's the one Bruce Willis is dealing with. Mm-hmm. He doesn't have the short-term memory loss and other stuff going on. He just lost his ability to speak. So we want to understand that one, because we're not always going to see memory loss. Grandma forgets everything. That's not what you're going to see with FTD. The other type of FTD is called a behavioral variant. And that one is where somebody seems perfectly normal, no memory loss, maybe they're still working, but they suddenly start doing these behaviors that they would never, ever, ever have done. People who have never said a bad word say all of them, or somebody who's very financially astute starts buying things they can't afford, or going gambling, or things like that. Very, very unusual behaviors. And again, it's often attributed to drugs or a psychiatric illness, but it's because it's a more rare form of dementia that we aren't as familiar with. So even though we're called Alzheimer's Tennessee, we do try to focus on those others as well, help make people aware so they know what to look for and can recognize it and get help. As I mentioned, Lewy body dementia is related to Parkinson's disease. So we often see those going hand in hand, and a lot of folks don't know that. So I want them to know that's something to be aware of as well.
Wow.
Great. A lot of info.
Yep.
We got through it.
Yep. Thank you. You do such a service for this community. And God bless you. Thank you.
It's my privilege. Thank you.
And a reminder, come see her tomorrow at the event. What's the time is it again? 3 o'clock?
So the Taste-In Tour is at 5:30. You do need a ticket for the Taste-In Tour. You can go on their website and get that. And then everything else I mentioned, you can find on our website. Again, that's alztennessee.org.
Great.
Or give me a call at the office.
Your number one more time.
615-580-4244.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me again. Good to see you guys.
I want to give a special shout out to my daughter. Happy 20th birthday, Landry. So I'm blinking and my daughter is growing up on me. But it's not next year, I think, is the one she's really planning for. But
I suspect so.
Happy birthday. Dad loves you.
Happy birthday.
Everybody have a great week, and we'll be back. See you next week.